Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we're going to be taking the Cessna 152 from Stansted south towards Chelmsford. Then we're going to go over the Hanningfield Reservoir and we're going to make a full stop landing down at Southend. And if you are new to VATSIM, I suppose this video will give you a decent idea of how a typical VFR flight goes. We should have ATC the whole way. There's control here at Stansted, and then London control is online as well, who should be able to give us a basic service en route. So let's begin. So before we do anything, we'll put the fuel on. We'll switch on the master switches here so the aircraft has electrical power. We've got about half a tank of fuel in each wing, so that's more than enough for 2 days flight. We'll put the mixture in fully rich. Check the cabin air controls are in, which they are. Crack the throttle open just a little bit for the engine start. The carb heat is cold, so that's all good. We'll pop the beacon and the nav light on. We'll check all around us, make sure the airport is clear. Prime the engine, because this is the first flight I've done today with this 152, and then we will start the aircraft. And I'm going to set the throttle to 1200 RPM, which is sitting at now. This is just to let it warm up. Parking brakes on and holding, so that's all good. We'll switch our radios on now, and we're going to be talking to Stansted Tower, who's on 123.8. And we'll also tune Gatwick, not Gatwick, we'll tune Essex Approach, who is on 120.625, and we'll just pop that in standby so we're ready to switch over to him when we leave the Stansted control zone. Right, so we'll make our initial call up then and get our taxi clearance. Stansted Tower, good afternoon. Golf Romeo Mike Oscar Papa is a Cessna 152 at the General Aviation ramp. We'd like taxi clearance for a VFR flight departing south.
Golf Romeo Mike Oscar Papa, Stansted Tower, hello, roger. Engine starters approved, taxi Holder Point Golf 1, runway 04 via Golf.
Engine start approved, we'll taxi Golf 1 runway 04 via Golf Oscar Papa. So because we're at Stansted, we should have technically requested engine start, but the batteries in the 152 die very quickly, so it's best so I just turn it on already. Right. The T's and P's are in the green. I should have checked that after I started the engine, really. Starter light is out, the emitter is charging, suction is between 3 and 5. We'll set the flaps to 10 degrees, which is what we'll use for takeoff here. I've set the altimeter already, so we will get taxiing. We'll pop the taxi lights on. We're going to holding point Golf 1, which is just short of runway 04. So swing ourselves around. Now you want to try and keep the RPM above 1000 in the Cessna 152. Just prolongs the engine life, I believe.
Oscar Papa, have your clearance ready?
Golf Oscar Papa, ready to copy.
Golf Romeo Mike Oscar Papa, after departure runway 04, clear to leave the Stansted control zone to the south, not above altitude 1,500 feet VFR, Stansted QNH 1032 and squawk 7402.
After departure runway 04, cleared to leave the Stansted control zone to the south, not above altitude 1,500 feet VFR, QNH 1023, squawk 7402, Golf Romeo Mike Oscar Papa.
Golf Romeo Mike Oscar Papa, correct, report ready for departure.
So there we go, we'll put 7402 down in the transponder. We will put our transponder to altitude mode. As I said, we're going to be departing to the south and we're going to try and route ourselves towards Chelmsford. Right, so parking brake applied. We'll set RPM 1200. T's and P's are in the green. Suction between 3 and 5. Hold on, there's 1200. So we'll now increase to 1700 RPM, so the indicator should be more or less standing up. There we go, that's stabilised. The first thing we'll do is we'll pull the carpet. We'll see a drop of no more than 125 RPM, which is the case there, perfect. Put the carpet back in. Then we will come down to our magnetos. We'll check the left magneto first. Should be a drop of less than 100 RPM, which is the case. Good. Set it back to both, and the RPM recovers. Set it to the right magneto. Again, a drop of no more than 100 RPM, and it should be 75 RPM limit between the two of them. Now we'll close the throttle completely, so it's down. So that it's down between 500 and 700 RPM, which is the case. All good. The ammeter actually is discharging now just because we're running on such a low RPM, but that's fine. And then we'll reset to 1200 RPM. We're all good to go, so we'll pop our strobe and landing lights on, and we will get our takeoff clearance. Golf Oscar Papa at Golf 1, ready for takeoff.
Golf Oscar Papa, roger, line up runway 04.
Line up 04, Golf Oscar Papa. So we'll do our quick pre-departure checks as well. So the trim is neutral, that is the case. The mixture is rich. Magnetos are set. Pitot heat, I'll switch that on. Primer is in and locked. Flaps are set for takeoff. Carpet is cold. Transponder is set.
Golf Oscar Papa, runway 04, surface winds 030 degrees, 9 knots, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff 04, Golf Oscar Papa. Here we go, so we'll slowly throttle ourselves up to full power. And we're going to be rotating about 60 knots. I'm going to rotate now. Left it a little late, but that's fine. We'll pitch for a 60 knot climb. I think the best climb rate in this is about 55 knots, but we'll keep it at 60 just to be on the safer side. And we'll climb up to, I'm going to say we'll go up to 1,400 feet. We won't go all the way up to 1,500 in case we get knocked above it and violate any airspace, which isn't always good. I'm going to start turning now, just because we can. Just start routing south towards Chelmsford. There's 1,400 feet, begin to level off. I'm going to put the flaps up. There we go, flaps are up, and we'll just get to 1,400. Begin to throttle back and trim the aircraft out. Throttle back to about 2,300.
Contact Essex radar now, 120625, bye.
Contact Essex radar 12065 Golf Oscar Papa, bye bye. Essex radar Golf Romeo Mike Oscar Papa.
Golf Romeo and Mike Oscar Papa at Essex radar, hello, report your passing level.
Golf Romeo Mike Oscar Papa at 1,500.
Golf Oscar Papa, roger.
I suppose we might as well stay at 1,500 now that we're here. I'm just going to be have to be careful not to go above it. I'm going to come down here and turn off the taxi light as well, just while I can remember to. So now that we're in the air, the flaps are up, the engine temperatures and pressures are steady, and I'll bring the power back a little bit more. Heading, we're en route. We're routing south towards Chelmsford. We should be able to see it soon. It will be off to our left, just over in the distance here. The altimeter is set. We're at 1,400 now. Just going to bring us back up. Fuel is on and sufficient, and our radio, we're with Essex radar. Where I reset the power there, we started dropping down a bit because we're out of trim. Right, Chelmsford is just over to the left a little bit. So there's a small road here. I'm just trying to figure out where it is. I'll recognise it in a moment. I believe it's this road, but yeah, and that leads us all the way into the Chelmsford town centre, so we'll just follow this road down here. Yeah, this small country road is what I'm talking about.
Golf Oscar Papa, leaving controlled airspace in 1 mile. What service would you require outside?
Golf Oscar Papa, request basic service.
Golf Oscar Papa, roger, basic service.
So, just following this, oh god, where's it gone? There, just following this road here, and it leads us, it's a bit of a wonky one, but it leads us into Chelmsford. Alternatively, this river is also heading in the same direction, but you can actually just see Chelmsford ahead of us here now, which is good to know. So we'll route towards that. Once we're at Chelmsford, we're going to continue. Oh, pardon me. We're going to continue south to the Hanningfield Reservoir. Actually, you can see it now, so you know what, I'm just going to continue routing towards that. That over there is the Hanningfield Reservoir, and once we're overhead that, we'll talk to Southend, and we'll get our clearance to enter the Southend control zone. I did just pop above 1,500 there, but we're outside of the busy part of, I think we're outside of the main kind of, yeah. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is we're now out of the part of Stansted's airspace extends to the surface, so we can now climb up to 2,000 feet or so freely. I believe there's Class Alpha above us at 3,000 feet, so we cannot exceed 3,000 feet or we'll be violating the Class Alpha, but where we are now is fine. I'm going to begin climbing up to 2,000 in just a moment, and that's the altitude we'll remain at. For all of you that are wondering, I am running Plan G in a separate tab. That's how I know where I am, basically. That and just general knowledge of this area in real life as well. I kind of know approximately where I'm going. And go 2,000 feet now. Little bit bumpy. So again, we'll do another quick check. So our fuel is on and sufficient. Radios, we're talking to Essex radar. Engine, we've set it to 2,300 revs, and the T's and P's are in the green. Direction, our compasses are aligned, and we are heading towards the reservoir. And altitude, we are at 2,100 at the minute, so I'll just push us back down. So as we enter Southend now, I'm going to descend down to about 1,000. Where should we go to? You know, I'm going to bring the throttle back, pull the carpet out while we're doing that, bring the speed back to about 80 knots before I begin dropping. There we go, and now we're going to descend our way down. We're going to drop to 1,500 feet for now, and maybe we'll continue in a moment. So the airfield should be in sight by now. Where is it? I think we're just slightly to the west, so I'm just going to pull us around. There's 1,500 feet, we'll pop the carpet back in. Is that the airfield down there? I can't see. Maybe I'm going crazy. I think that's the airfield down there. Ah, there it is. I can see it just over in the distance there. Right, so we're gonna... Oh, just drifting up a bit too far. We're gonna keep flying towards it, and we'll make a... we'll do a base join onto 05. So we'll just begin steering ourselves towards. We're going to descend down to 1,000. Pull the carpet again. And we're getting blown over to the right quite a bit here. It's a 13 knot wind at the minute, which is it's not massive, but it's we're only in a little plane, so it's giving us a bit of a nudge. There's the airfield down there. Bring the carpet back in. We'll run a quick check again. So our fuel, we have more than enough fuel to make it to Southend. Little lag spike there. Radios are on Unicom, need to worry about that, but our transponder is set. Engine is good, T's and P's are in the green direction. Our compasses are aligned, and altitude we're at 1,000 feet, we're on the local QNH. There's the runway there, so we'll make sure our brakes are off, our mixture's rich. Flaps will start setting them as required, so I'm going to bring our speed back now to 80 knots. The carb heat, we'll pull that out for now because we're slowing ourselves down. Landing light is on, so there's the runway. We are all good to go. We can begin descending now as well a little bit more. Putting in the first stage of flaps as we come under 80 knots. Runway there just off to the left of us. It's quite a long runway here. The winds are more or less straight down the runway, so I'm going to use full flaps for the landing. So I'm going to begin slowing down now to 60 knots, which will be our final approach speed. because we're now about to land, we'll put the carb heat in, just so we have that extra power in case we need it for a go around. I'm going to set the second stage of flaps now, and I will tell Unicom I'm on final. Southend traffic, Golf Romeo Mike Oscar Papa Cessna 152, final runway 05, Southend traffic. Set the final stage of flaps now, slow ourselves down to 60 knots. That final stage of flaps tends to make your nose rise quite a bit, but we're good. Very happy with how this approach is going, we're good. The PAPI lights are giving us 4 whites, but I don't quite think that's accurate because I feel like we're more or less perfect. There we go, 2 reds, 2 whites. Aiming for that touchdown zone. A bit low now, so we'll just level ourselves off a bit using the throttle to control the nose pitch. Slightly off to the right, so we'll adjust there as well. Getting a little bit slow, just keep that speed of 60 knots up, and we're well and truly over the runway now. I'm going to idle the throttle, begin to pitch back, just hold it off the runway, just hold the nose off, and there we go. And we'll apply the brakes, all good. And put a bit more power on as we continue to roll down the runway. We'll turn right here at Charlie and vacate. Southend traffic, Golf Oscar Papa vacated 05, Southend. There's the Southend Vulcan. This is the brilliant Gobbies Southend scenery. It's very, very well made indeed. Right, we are clear of the runway now. We're just going to stop there, so pop the parking brake on. I'll just bring the throttle up to about 1000 for the moment. We'll bring our flaps up, obviously do it in stages. The carb heat is already set to cold, and we can turn off the non-essential radios, so we'll turn off the transponder and reset the trim to neutral, which is where it already is, which is all good. We are going to taxi today. I'm actually just going to head to this apron here, the kind of, I don't know what it's called, but sort of, if you've been to Southend, I'm heading to the place where the business jets park. Usually the flying club in real life is just here off to the right of me, but that doesn't seem to be modelled in this scenery, which is a bit of a shame. The Vulcan's very nice, I do like that. And we can turn off the strobe lights, pop the taxi light on, and turn off the landing light as well. And we'll turn off the PO heat just because we are on the ground. Oops. And there's really no need for it. There's the Vulcan, very nice. And we'll just roll forward up to one of these hangars just here. Turn the taxi light off. I don't know if this is actually a parking spot, but you know, it's all good. There we go, we'll stop there, pop the parking brake on. We'll set 1200 RPM for 30 seconds just so the engine can cool down essentially. While we're doing this, we'll do a dead cut check on the magnetos, so we'll essentially just make sure the RPM drops. That is the case, and then we'll quickly turn it off and back on again to check the magnetos are a dead cut. You do that basically so that if one of the magnetos fails to turn off and there's a very sudden gust of wind that turns the propeller, there's a chance the engine could start, and that's obviously quite dangerous. So doing a dead cut, you just check that all the magnetos are switching themselves off. We'll switch off the radio now. We will close the throttle and we'll lean the mixture. The engine stops, so now we'll turn off the magnetos. we'll turn off the master switch, get rid of this menu, Asobo please fix. The fuel cock can come off. We'll just switch off all the lights as well. And that is all done. Happy days. Welcome to Southend. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you again soon. Bye bye.